Apples fly to the sky. L, the lunchroom, let's have some fries. K, be kind, kindness is our key. I, inspiration and integrity. N, no one's left out, no bullying here. S, super school spirit, let's give a cheer. P, prompt prepared, participate. A, active learning is always up to date. R, be respectful, there's no place for hate. K, kids at EP are super duper great. Hooray! Color day, talent show, swap meet and concerts, they all happen here. We celebrate as a family, special days throughout the year. Let your colors shine with banners of blue and red. Fly through the sky with evening pride. Fly through the sky with evening pride.
Good evening, everyone. We want to welcome you to the orientation of Elkins Park School. Now, we originally had 2 days for 2 schools, but because of the inclement weather, we might have all of the 4 wonderful elementary school parents and students joining us tonight. So again, welcome. Well, we have some staff members we want to introduce you to, but first of all, my name is Brian Wallace, and I am the proud principal of Elkins Park. And I am delighted to be your principal for the upcoming school year. We also have 2 outstanding assistant principals who will be assisting us in the start of the school year next year. Ms. Lynn Trimbetti, who will be our 5th grade assistant principal, and Ms. Sharice Nelson, who will be our 6th grade assistant principal. Starting next year, those will be our 2 vice principals. So we're so glad that they're with us. We also have Dr. Russell, who will be with us as well, and will be answering some questions and facilitating as we move on. Dr. Russell has helped us as an administrator with our transition this year. And we have on the line with us our counselor, Ms. Smith, and our outstanding school nurse to answer and tell you some stuff as well, Ms. Amy Gadea. So we have our whole team, and we're excited. Elkins Park is ready for your students. Now, this is like no school year we've ever seen before. And as of now, we're not really sure what it's going to look like in September. And a lot will depend on the Secretary of Education for Pennsylvania, as well as the governor, and what our board of directors or school board and our wonderful superintendent decides as what school will look like when we come back in September. But what we do know is that we will be there and up to the challenge to make sure your child is welcome at Elkins Park. Now, the school district of Cheltenham School District has an outstanding mission, and you can read it there on the slide. But we believe in making sure that we are doing everything possible to make sure your child is nurtured, and we can believe in community partnerships and making sure that we build them with an outstanding success, not just for middle school, not just for the high school, but from Elkins Park towards life. Our next slide talks about the Cheltenham School District vision. We want to make sure that we inspire. We want to make sure that we're always engaging. We want to make sure that we're encouraging, stimulating, as well as we're tapping into creativities. These are very important things that we do as we strive for excellence at Elkins Park School and throughout the entire district. We believe in equality for everyone and ensuring that every student, no matter where they're from, receives the best access to education. And our equality statement is available for you to view. But we believe this in preparing all students, no matter where they come from, to make sure that they have the best quality education and for life in middle school and high school. We also have some things we really believe in as we're doing these things. Student achievement is very important. We want to make sure that all of our students are successful. We want to make sure that we have a challenging curriculum, provided quality instruction for all of our students. We want to make sure that we have a well-rounded educational approach. We believe in professional learning, and we also believe in communication and being engaging at all times. Our next slide.
Hi,
so
everyone.
we have a great teachers here at Elkins Park, and to talk to you about those outstanding teachers, our very own Vice Principal, Miss Nelson.
Hi, everyone. I was so excited to talk about our great teachers. I jumped ahead of Mr. Wallace there. That's because Elkins Park School, while Cheltenham schools have amazing teachers K through 12, Elkins Park has some of the best teachers in Cheltenham School District. We are a very student-centered building, and we have a huge focus on really building relationships with our students and helping them to have the best school experience possible. So you can look over this slide and some of the bullet points of things that we believe makes a great teacher, and just know that every teacher in our building is giving children that experience every day. So when your children come to Elkins Park School, they are no longer just Cheltenham or Myers or Glenside or Wyncote. They are now the class of 2028. And that's how people are going to think about them. They're going to be together all the way through graduation. And, you know, there's some reflection time today as we had our senior parade and watching the students come by, and they drove past and the teachers were so happy to see their former students. That's going to be your children in not too long, coming together as the class of 2028. And that's a really special thing. And we have a really big focus at Elkins Park School about building that sense of community for our students. And Elkins Park School, we are a PBIS school. We do PBIS, which stands for Positive Behavior Intervention Systems. We do PBIS K through 12 in Cheltenham. At Elkins Park, we are the Elkins Park Eagles. Woohoo, go Eagles! And Eagles soar, and our children soar. And our SOAR stands for safety first, being outwardly kind, acting responsibly, and showing respect to others. And when I show those to the students coming in, they say, oh, we've heard that before. And it may look different if you're a dolphin or a peace train or whatever represents your elementary building, but we have the same expectation. We are one school, one mission, and I could really expand that to say one district and one mission. Oops. And now to talk about what a typical day looks like, we have Mrs. Lynn Trombetti. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, and I am so excited to get to see you when we return. On this screen, you'll see a quick snapshot of our schedule. We start at 8:40, we end at 3:40. Our fifth grade students remain with their homeroom teacher and the same cohort of students throughout the day. They have the same teacher and they do not change classes. They do meet up as a whole, so if you have friends in other classes that you haven't gotten a chance to see, you do have the opportunity at lunch. Lunch is 40 minutes. They have 20 minutes to go outside for recess. It is fun. We have a beautiful campus and they love it. They also will change classes, or change teachers rather, for specials. We have art, two art teachers, a STEM class, which will be one of the first things that will be new to our incoming fifth graders. We have music, PE, and the students really have an opportunity to explore all types of creativity and knowledge. One of the other big things, although it may look a lot the same from fourth to fifth, when you look at the classes and staying with the class, a couple of the major opportunities are after-school clubs. After-school clubs run for 8 weeks. You'll get information at home in the Friday folder for signups at the end of September. Again, it runs for 8 weeks starting in October. There's all kinds of activities. And one of the great things is if a student has an idea for a club that isn't there, they can ask a teacher, we can find a sponsor, and we've had everything from knitting to clay, which was a big popular one this past year. We do not have organized sports. That begins in 7th grade. But what we do have are after-school sports. One on Tuesday and one on Thursday. Our clubs meet Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3:45 to 4:30. There is transportation at home. It's a smaller fleet of buses that go to 4 of the areas, it's broken up into 4 areas for Cheltenham Township. We have a lot of fun things to look forward to. A big thing in the 5th grade is the Franklin Institute sleepover. We get to stay there after the dark. So if you've ever seen the movie about the museum after dark, it's a lot of fun. And the other big one that students look forward to is Peak in 6th grade. This is the first time in 27 years that we were unable to go. But it's an amazing experience where 6th graders camp outside. Well, they camp in cabins, but for three days, 2 nights. And it's just a lot of fun. They can participate in the science fair. We have jump rope for heart. All types of assemblies, and again, we're not sure exactly what our start of the year is going to look like, but all of these things are available to our students. Communication is a priority for the district as well as a major priority at EP. Students have a binder. It kind of looks a little bit like this page, yellow and blue, and students carry it around and they can record their assignments, and it's a communication between the classroom teacher and parents. They have 2 folders, the homework folder to kind of help organize bringing stuff back and forth. Emails, letters, and calls are really a big part of the communication. Mr. Wallace sends a lot of email blasts. Be sure to have your most up-to-date information in what we call our Power School or in our organization. You can go to the Cheltenham webpage under Parents, and it's the first link to stay connected and to update your information. So if your email changes or your phone changes, be sure to update it. This will be the first time that parents and students start to interact with Power School. It's our online grade book. We keep attendance on it. Parents can log on and get a snapshot of what's happening academically throughout all of their classes. We will give out the passwords and your logon information after back to school night. We send out 3 report cards. We're on a trimester system, and education progress reports, special education progress reports will go out the same time as the report cards.
At Elkins Park, we have a fantastic team that is ready to serve. 2 of our wonderful secretaries are Ms. Tancredi, as also Ms. McKeon, and you will get a chance to meet them as the school year begins. We have 2 fantastic counselors, one who will serve 6th grade, Ms. Donahue, and to talk to you about our 5th grade counselor, who is here on the call with us, Ms. Smith, our 5th grade counselor who will be serving the incoming students in the fall. Ms. Smith?
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the EP family. I am Mrs. Smith, the 5th grade school counselor, and Mrs. Donahue will be the 6th grade school counselor next year. But because we follow our students, when your children become 6th graders, I will continue to be their counselor. I am so excited and looking forward to meeting all of our new students at Elkins Park. We believe that all students are unique and should be treated with dignity and respect. Now, I know because this is a transition year that as parents, you're probably a little nervous, but I do want you to know that I work closely with the administrators, I work closely with the teachers, cafeteria staff, everybody in the building to make sure that it is a safe and positive learning environment for our students. I encourage the kids to get involved. As Mrs. Trombetti shared earlier, we have a lot of activities throughout the school year. When students get involved, it helps them to discover their strengths and also develop their personal interests. So again, I really encourage students to get involved. My office is room 228A. I am upstairs. However, I will see your kids and greet them in the morning. I will also be in the lunchroom to help them with any personal, any conflicts and problem solving, as well as with friendships. And they would just see me throughout the school day. So again, I am so looking forward to meeting everybody and helping to make next year a great year for the students.
We also have our outstanding nurse, Miss Amy Gadea, who will talk to us about some things that we need to pay attention to as we start the new school year coming up.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Zoom room. I just wanted to go over just some things that are probably repetition for most of you. If you have your child has any health needs, make sure you reach out to me and share them with me so we can take care of your child while they're in school. And if they need to have any medications, whether it be prescription medications or over-the-counter medications, we always need to make sure that we have a medication order that is signed by a doctor. And make sure you bring that into school with the actual medication, and I can keep that in the nurse's office and make sure the student gets them. Anytime you have your child gets any immunizations, please make sure that you send a copy to the school so that I can update their chart to make sure that all their immunizations are up to date. When your child goes into 6th grade, the Pennsylvania state requires an updated physical for their chart, so you'll be hearing from me at the end of 5th grade to get that form in for the 6th grade year. I'm looking forward to meeting every single one of your children, hopefully in the fall, and I hope they have a wonderful school year coming up.
Thank you. We have at Elkins Park one of the best PTOs anywhere in the world. And to make our school better and successful, they serve us and help us. And to talk about that, Ms. Nelson will tell you a little bit about the PTO.
Hi, everyone. So our PTO is fantastic, and I just want you to be on the lookout. There will be a video posted about PTO events and things that have happened over the course of the school year, and it was really amazing to see the reminder of all the wonderful things that they were able to help us to accomplish. The PTO not only supports our students, but supports our teachers as well. They have stipends to reimburse teachers for things for their classrooms. They help fund our PBIS assemblies and our school store and things that we have for PBIS initiatives. And they do it so willingly and with smiles every time we come to them for support. They really are wonderful. And so I would really encourage you, if you are active in your K-4 building, stay active at EP. Your children still need you in PTO at EP. If you haven't been active, it's a great time to join. There is something for everyone. We like to keep a bench of leaders, so I don't want you to think you're coming in and there's already an established leadership. We need 5th grade parent leaders because at EP, we only have you in our family for 5th and 6th grade, and then you're going on to Cedarbrook, and we need to make sure that we constantly have people in the rotation to step up when the 6th grade parents leave. So please consider volunteering for PTO.
Now is a time where you'll be able to ask and answer some questions, and we'll be able to answer some questions for you. We also want to remind you that tomorrow at 7 o'clock, our superintendent, Dr. Mercer, will have his town hall meeting. Now you can access it by going to cheltenham.org/Zoom, as well as look on the website for that information. At 7 o'clock tomorrow, our superintendent. Now, we have a wonderful administrator who's been helping us with this transition. She has been very, very valuable to make sure it's smooth, and that is Dr. Russell. And Dr. Russell will now host the question and answer period of this event.
Good evening, families. Thank you so much for joining us. We were so happy that you were able to be flexible and make it to this rescheduled event. We hope everyone is doing well. And we want to first make sure we celebrate our awesome 4th graders for getting to this point. Congratulations for all of your hard work. Here, I'm clapping for you. We want to make sure that you feel so proud of yourselves and know that we want you motivated and encouraged to come to Elkins Park and continue to do that hard work, all right? Now, we had the pleasure of joining the live sessions with the fourth grade classes. We were able to meet with all of the fourth grade homerooms. So we answered the tough questions from the students. So now is your time, parents and family members, to ask us any questions that you still need some more information about that wasn't addressed during our orientation so far, and we'll make sure that to address it. Please note that if you have any student-specific questions, please just email us separately. We will share our email addresses at the end of this presentation, so that way we can still answer your student-specific question, okay? So let's get started. All right, so I want to start off by asking Ms. Trombetti if she can give some insight on the before and after care and how that works at EP. And if Ms. Trombetti cannot ask or speak.
There we go. I'm unmuted, sorry. We do not offer morning care. We do participate in class where students are bused at the end of our school day to Cheltenham Elementary. We do again offer the after school clubs that are on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we do provide transportation, and they end at 4:30. Again, there's a plethora of activities and clubs that we have. If you have any specific requests, you know, I saw something on there about model rocketry. We do not have model rocketry at this point, but it doesn't mean that we can't have it.
Thank you. Someone else wanted to know about after care and clubs, if they're able to do both. Can you talk more about that? I know you mentioned transportation before.
I believe so. Usually they'll go to one or the other, just due to timing. As I said, we had 4 after school buses, and they kind of go throughout the district to make sure that every student, so it wouldn't be their exact bus stop, but it would be somewhere very close to their exact bus stop.
And let me add in, one of the 4 buses, after school buses, does go to the class site. So if a student is participating in something after school, they can still get to the class site.
Great, thanks team. One of our family members wanted to know about lunches. Is it prepaid or a money system?
Both. You can utilize cash for students, and we also have the cafe, I think it's called cafe system. Ms. Nelson may know the exact name of it, where you can put money on their account and they use their student ID to purchase.
And it's the same process as it is at the K4 buildings as well. So that doesn't change.
Great. Maybe Mr. Wallace can answer this question. I know you talked a little bit about it before, but a family member wanted to know, by when will we know if it will be an in-person or virtual start session in the fall?
Sure. So we're waiting for direction from the State Department of Education. But as soon as Dr. Mercé and the board of directors or the school board for our district knows, they will inform you almost immediately. So I think that one of the things that we talked about today is times are changing and things are changing and circumstances are changing. But I do know that we're coming up with a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. And as soon as we know, then I'm sure that Dr. Mercé will inform you almost immediately.
Great, thank you for that, Mr. Wallace. We have another question asking about transportation. I know it may look different come the fall, but just previously a family member is asking about access to busing service. How do they know they have access to the bus, and when do they get that information? One of the team members?
Yeah, great question. So in about the 2nd to 3rd week of August, and usually the 2nd week of August, you'll get a packet from the district. Inside that packet, it'll let you know who your child's teacher, they'll let you know a little bit about supplies, and then it will let you know the bus stop as well as the bus route number and where it will pick you up from. So that information is forthcoming. If there are changes that need to be made because of the special circumstances that we're dealing with, we'll definitely notify you sooner than that. But the information will be forthcoming to you before school begins.
Great, thank you, Mr. Wallace. Another family member wanted to know, what is the earliest time that students can arrive to the building?
8:30.
Another family wanted to know, they wanted to emphasize that since the elementary buildings have robotics club, I think that you guys might want to put that higher on your list to have a robotics club.
We've talked to every single class, and one of the things that they're were excited about is the students really informed me how much they loved robotics class and how much they wanted to continue. So we heard them loud and clear, and we'll definitely try to do everything that we can to see if we can implement something like that for Elkins Park. So we heard the students, and they expressed that to me and almost on every phone call.
Great, thank you. We have another family member who wanted to know how soon the list of after-school activities is available. I know Ms. Trombetti might have mentioned it. Can you reemphasize when you guys present that list?
Yes, questions will go out to our staff asking them, what they would like to do. It is on a volunteer basis. That goes out when we come back to school. Then the permission sign-up sheet will go out in the latter part of September with the club starting in October, and it runs for 8 weeks. One of the other things that what I saw mentioned was about our music program. We do have choir, orchestra, band. We have an amazing drummer, bucket brigade drumming that is second to none. So there's really an opportunity for everybody. Bio lessons, music lessons do continue once we're back in the brick and mortar. Around the same time that the registration for the after school clubs goes out, there'll be a sign-up sheet for instruments that'll come out from their music class. Every class has a music class and a PE class, and then their other special art or STEM will rotate on a trimester basis. They do go to WIN also. WIN time is what they need, what I need. For the most part, students are with their homeroom teacher unless it's specified that they need to go to a remediation reading or math group, as well as this would be a time for our special for our students with IEPs to meet with the special education teachers.
Thank you, Ms. Trombetti. And on that note, we had a couple questions about 504 plans being transferable, and then also additional supports that students might need. Someone also mentioned the WIN block. So can you start with the 504 and then just continue on to talk about the supports the students can have?
Sure. All of our documents that provide accommodations and for the needs of students are housed in what we call IEP Writer. It is available. I've already been reading through the IEPs and the 504 plans. Mrs. Smith and I work very closely as the people for the 5th grade to make sure that if there's anything we need to know right away that we're aware. We've been participating in 504 and IEP meetings throughout this time to help with the transfer. But all of that is in place, ready to go when your students get here. I think that was there another part to that about WIN?
About WIN and any support students might need.
So we take a look, each time we have a benchmark assessment, and we have the benchmark assessments 3 times, and the first one happens rather quickly, and we take a look at that information and we'll determine if there is support needed. We communicate all of this with families. If we do find that someone needs more support, we go through what's called a tiered response. And it's our MTSS response where we'll have meetings with parents, we look at what supports they need, and then we provide them. One of the clubs after school is a homework club that provides assistance for students with homework. WIN is a time that we can provide extra support. And then there is a tutoring program later in the year that will happen after school as well.
Thank you. We had a question that wanted to know about PBIS. Ms. Nelson, can you share more about PBIS?
Sure. So I told you all that we are the EP Eagles and we soar, and what SOAR stands for. What we do at school is really focus on positive support for students. And so we're always looking to highlight the positive, recognizing when students are being safe and kind and respectful and responsible, And to that end, we have EP bucks, which are really awesome. They have staff member faces on them, and every staff member gets EP bucks, and every staff member can award EP bucks to students, even if they're not their own students, or maybe it's a custodian, or maybe it is one of the instrumental music teachers without a homeroom. But every adult in the building gets EP bucks, because we want to recognize students wherever they are. And they can use their EP bucks to buy things in the school store. They can use them to buy special experiences like basketball time in the gym, or a special lunch table. We have a menu of things that they can use that we do. Those are things that we do school-wide. We also have our big EP bucks, which are for the class, the whole class, when they're really showing great behavior. And there's a menu of activities of things that they can purchase with their big EP bucks. So we're really focused on positive acknowledgments of students in the building. And that's pretty much how our programming works. So it's all some type of positive reward for positive behavior.
Great, thank you. We have a lot of questions about the first day of school. So can we remind families when the current first day of school is?
Ms. Nelson, do you have that exact date?
I'm pulling up my calendar now. I should know it by heart. I'm looking at my calendar right now. So that would be August 31st, actually.
August the 31st. So August the 31st, we don't know exactly how it's going to look, but that will be the very first day of school. But the good news is we're going to communicate to you before that first day of school, so that we're answering some of the questions. We do know it's going to possibly look different, but we'll be ready for your students to have an outstanding experience.
Awesome, thank you guys. We had a family member who wanted to know about the gifted student program, or what that looks like at Elkins Park.
We do have a gifted program. Students with GIEP are serviced by two of our teachers, one that focuses on ELA and one that focuses on math. We do take a look, again, using some of our data for some of those students that don't necessarily have a GIEP that would benefit from participating in that program. We do not have an Odyssey of the Mind. That's the first time I've heard that since I was a child. My mom actually had gone to the States and the World Champions in Odyssey of Mind. It's an amazing program. For the gifted, it's just like a student with an IEP or a 504, the documents will transfer, and the case manager will be in touch in September.
Great. We have a family member who wanted to know the average homeroom class size.
Usually we average for anywhere from 24 to 27 students is usually the average size at Elkins Park.
All right. Someone wanted to have us to clarify the availability of morning class before fifth graders.
We do not offer morning class. There is a bus. I do believe they offer it at another school, but at EP it's not there. The class person that is in charge of class, but presently, is Peggy McManus. Anytime, if you're new to our district, anytime you want to communicate via email, it is the first letter of the name and the last name at cheltenham.org.
Yes, and just to add in there, I'm not sure where the clarification was fully needed. We have morning and aftercare, just not housed at EP. It's at Cheltenham Elementary, and there is a bus that takes them from Cheltenham Elementary in the morning to EP, and then from EP back to Cheltenham Elementary at the end of the day.
Great, thank you. We have another question about the friendships in the K-4 schools that might be related to placement. How likely is it for maybe students who have the same friends to be in the same classroom?
So when we look at placement, we are looking at creating really balanced environments. Remember, this is class of 2028. We have 4 buildings coming together. So we want to make sure that we have a representative of each building in each classroom. We look at gender balance. We look at racial balance. There are a lot of factors that we're taking into consideration so that we have really well-balanced classes. Sometimes friends may wind up together. We cannot guarantee that. We have spent a lot of time speaking with the counselors and administrators and teachers at each K-4 building. We've been working diligently as a building team to really be thoughtful about where we are placing students and how we are placing them so that they have the best experience at Elkins Park School. But I can't guarantee that your child would be in class with their best friend. If they are on the same, similar teams, and our teams we use just for organization purposes, there's nothing different from team to team. It's just how we organize. They may have lunch and recess together, which gives them an opportunity to see each other if they're not in the same homeroom.
Thank you. We have a family member that wanted to know about volunteers. Are volunteers able to assist in the after-school programs where teachers are unable? And then to go with that, someone asks about getting new clearances. So can you give some insight on their requirement to get new clearances?
The clearances are the same again as for elementary school. There's a time period that it's good for, and that's on record at admin. And so if you have them on there now, they should be good to start the year off, and just let us know that you've already had them. Yes, we do have parent volunteers for our after school programs. We utilize our teachers first, but if there's something, we've had a guy come in and teach chess and work with our students on chess, was one of the ones that I can remember. The process for signing up for after school programs, I just want to reiterate that there is limited space, but everybody has the opportunity to sign up, and we give you a first choice, a second choice, and so that everybody has an opportunity to participate in a club. And now you'll get an email blast from Mr. Wallace saying, it's coming home. It comes home in the September folders. Our teachers communicate weekly and give you an update of what's happening, and it'll be in there as well, which is why it is so important to make sure we have your updated email information as well as phone numbers.
And we do have a spring session as well. So if your student really wanted something and they missed out in the fall, most of them are offered again in the spring, so they have another opportunity.
All right. And then as we wrap up, we have like 5 minutes left. Someone wanted to know about the music program. Does it occur before school, during school, after school?
Well, the wonderful part about Elkins Park is it's their opportunity to experience different things, whether it's chorus, band, orchestra, or even join the percussion or EP Thunder. They'll be able to do a lot of those things during the school day, which is really cool. There are some after school opportunities, but those things are actually offered during the school day. And then the cool part is they sort of play around and decide what they want to do so that they can lock it in by the time they get to Cedarbrook. So great question, but we do offer that during the school day.
Dr. Russell, there's one question about clarifying Mrs. Nelson's response about class assignments. Teams are not tracked or leveled at EP. Again, when we refer to a team as an A team or an X team, that is literally just for scheduling purposes, for specials and lunch, so that everybody's somewhere.
Thank you for adding that on. Another question asks about the 5th grade homerooms and the teachers returning and how that works. I know that might have something to do with the teams and the schedules aren't guaranteed each year. So does anyone want to talk more about first how many 5th grade classrooms there are and then about the returning teachers?
So there are, in Elkins Park, there are 14 5th grade classrooms. And we're putting those together based on a normal brick and mortar school year. We are putting, again, like we're saying, grouping the students. There's no tracking whatsoever, but we're making sure that we group them evenly and taking into account that they're coming from 4 different schools to make sure that we make them up with the best possible formula. The good news is I think that your students will really enjoy the opportunity to meet their cohort And these are the students that they will be with right up until the time that they graduate from the high school. So that is one of the good parts or cool parts about Elkins Park, is 4 great elementary schools coming together to one school at Elkins Park.
Okay.
And I know it didn't come up in a question, but the biggest question that the students asked me, every single question, was Elkins Parks going to be air conditioned? And one of the coolest things that I like to say to them is keeping in mind that there are some things that may come up with the way the school year is and the circumstances that we are dealing with. But we are slated to have air conditioning in every single classroom if all goes well, dealing with social distancing and the pandemic. And I told them that will mean that they're the coolest class to enter Elkins Park in Elkins Park history. So again, that's something that we are excited about and looking forward to in the fall.
I know, that's great to hear. And we'll have one of our final questions about tutoring. They wanted to know about tutoring, access to tutoring, and its presence at Elkins Park.
And we do offer tutoring if there's ever a need. There's different ways that we offer it. Some teachers do tutor after school, as well as we do have different programs that we do suggest. So if there's ever a need, just contact us, the counselor, any of your assistant principals, and we'll just definitely make sure that we're we let you know what is available.
All right, so as we wrap up, I just wanted to make sure that you all know that knitting and coding are also interests.
I'll write those down.
For next year's club. Someone asked about whether the 4th grade school year would be considered when we look at the benchmark assessment data. And of course, because that's something that's impacted all of the 4th graders and all of the students transition into all of their different various grade levels. So that's definitely something that we consider with this unique period that we're going through right now. And then anything else that someone asks about the buses are typically the same as like the elementary school. And as Ms. Trombetti mentioned, they will send you that information out in August. We don't have a uniform here at Elkins Park, similar to the elementary schools. And then the physics egg drop challenge. Are you guys aware of any egg drop challenge occurring?
I am not, but again, that was another thing that was brought up in about 4 classes. So we have to figure out how to make sure, talk to our science teachers to figure out how we can institute that for our 5th graders, because that is the 5th time that has came up. 4 classrooms specifically asked that same question. So I am taking notes, and we'll make sure we talk about that.
Great. So again, thanks to all of the families for submitting questions. Again, if you have any student-specific questions, please forward them to us. Anything that you might think of moving forward, you can email us. We're going to show you the email addresses here, and we will answer any question that you have, as long as we have the information and the details at that time period, okay? So to end this, I'll give it back to Mr. Wallace. Again, thank you all for participating, and we hope we provided you with a lot of information to help make our 4th graders feel more comfortable with their moving on up to Elkins Park School.
All right, I want to thank the outstanding 4th grade teachers for having us, letting us be able to drop in so that we can meet the students. We want to thank the students because they asked us and challenged us with some outstanding things to think about for the school year. I want to thank our panelists for joining us and Dr. Russell for handling an outstanding transition for our 4th grade students who are moving in to 5th grade. Let you know that you are in our thoughts and concerns as we think about this school year starting with all the things that are going on. Just let you know that we are preparing to be ready no matter what the challenge is to make sure that your students have an outstanding school year coming up. If you have any questions, our email addresses are there. Please email us any questions, comments, or concerns. And we look forward to serving you and are truly excited to welcome you to Elkins Park. Stay safe and stay well.